Okay, so today is our day for reading Srila Prabhupada Nectar. The book is showing up again, and it's also one of the days that we can take some time to sing one of the songs. So we sang this before. Jeev Jago, Gora Chanda Bole. Kota Nidra Jayo Maya, Pishachira Kole. Jibo Bolia Ese Samsara Vitare Bolia Borile to me Avijara Avatara Ami Bina Bandhu Ara Keache Tomara Chodi Maya Nashibaro Lagi Harinama Maha Mantra Sayatu Vimagi Pakati Vinoda Prabhu Charane Pariya Say Harinama Mantra Loyo Magiya Lord Gauranga is calling, wake up, sleeping souls, wake up, sleeping souls. You have slept so long on the lap of the witch Maya. You came into this world of birth and death, saying, my Lord, I will certainly worship you. But you have forgotten this promise and remained in great ignorance. I have descended just to save you. Except for me, who is your friend? I have brought the medicine to eradicate the disease of illusion. Now pray for this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and take it. Bhaktivinoda fell at the lotus feet of Lord Gauranga, and after begging for the holy name, he received that Maha Mantra. Begging for the holy name. This is not just a sound that you can just start. Just, okay, I'll take it. You have to actually get the benefit of the holy name. We have to beg for it. It's a question of consciousness. We have to really beg Krishna to be allowed to chant. Not just to chant, but to chant, actually really chant it properly. In the right consciousness, with the right purity. We were pretty much at the end, so I think we will start all over again. Okay. Srila Prabhupada Nectar. And my watch is not working, so when it gets close to 8:30 maybe somebody gives me a sign. Number 1. It was only 2 years after leading ISKCON in America that Srila Prabhupada agreed to be addressed by the proper title, Prabhupada, instead of Swamiji. As early as 1960, in his first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam, he had written in a purport, "The pure devotees whose only business is serving are honored by the names Prabhupada and Vishnupad, which indicates such devotees to be representatives of the lotus feet of the Lord." That's from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 1st chapter, 15th verse. Yet, although the address Swamiji is common and not very respectful, it was the only name his followers knew, and it had become a most endearing term for them. They inquired and prayed to him by that name, and they addressed all their letters, "Dear Swamiji." So it was a bit of a shock when the name changed. One devotee, on hearing the new name for Srila Prabhupada's secretary, couldn't accept it without personally asking Srila Prabhupada. On the next morning walk, he inquired, "Swamiji?" "Yes," Prabhupada replied. "I understand that you prefer to be called Prabhupada." Prabhupada turned quickly. "Where did you hear this? Who told you this?" Prabhupada appeared annoyed, and then he became silent. But after a few moments he spoke again. "Actually, I do not prefer, but it is better."
Actually, one of the devotees, on the happening, can we call you Prabhupada? He asked a question. Since he had said that the spiritual master should be known as Prabhupada, can we address you as Prabhupada?
Yes.
Somebody said, so you want us to tell you Prabhupada? No, it's not that I want, it's not that I prefer.
Yeah, it's more proper, but it's a great honorary title.
That was one of the problems with his brothers, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati or Gaudiya Math is known as Prabhupada. So when the Gaudiya Math people, they say Prabhupada, they mean Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, not our Prabhupada. So when they heard that the disciples were calling Avaishara Prabhupada, some of them were happy because, like Srila Maharaj was very attractive, and some others said, "No, that's not good." Problem started. Excuse me that I interrupted. And when Srila Maharaj, when he was told, he said he should be. Some of the good brothers came to Srila Maharaj and said, he decided to call me Prabhupada, and Prabhupada is our guru. Srila Maharaj said he should be more than Prabhupada, because he's spreading all over the world the Brahma Mantra heritage. He should be addressed more than Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Some of the brothers were angry. Prabhupada, how come he has the same title as his own guru? No, he should be more than Prabhupada. What he's doing is what he's doing.
Yes, Srila Prabhupada, and within ISKCON, of course, Srila Prabhupada is only Srila Prabhupada can be addressed as that title. Where there are so many gurus, but nobody can ever take that title within ISKCON.
Or the brother was a similar shock in mind that one of us made the title Prabhupada, we would be like, that's what happened to them. For the court, they couldn't see what he was doing.
Yes, they didn't understand how Srila Prabhupada was empowered in how he was actually empowered by Lord Chaitanya to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, which none of them were able to do. So going forward. Number 2, little drops of nectar. In San Francisco in 1967, Srila Prabhupada only gradually raised the standards of his followers. Only gradually he raised the standards of his followers. Most of them were not much more than hippies having a good time eating and singing in the storefront. Right next to the temple was an ice cream shop. And at the end of the street there was a donut shop, both frequented by the devotees. Unless there was a specific function in the temple, many of the devotees could be found in one of these two food shops. Therefore, when Prabhupada would come down from his apartment, he would sometimes pass very slowly in front of the ice cream shop to see if any of his followers were there. Then he would go down to the donut shop and look in the window there. The devotees would even slink down in their seats so as not to be spotted by Srila Prabhupada as Srila Prabhupada looked in. More than once in the evening lecture, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that devotees don't take part in eating in ice cream shops or eating donuts, but they eat only Krishna prasadam. I'm not sure we're coming from this statement here, but once Srila Prabhupada said he looked at the sign to the donut shop. He says, "What are these do-nots?" He made his point, right? From the very beginning of his preaching in America, Prabhupada used to encourage his devotees to take part in the devotional ecstasy of chanting and dancing. On morning walks, he would sometimes ask each devotee, "Were you chanting last night?" referring to the congregational kirtan in the temple. "I tried to, but there wasn't any room," one devotee replied. Gargamuni said, No, because I was afraid I would cry." No doubt these remarks by his disciples contained neophyte emotions, yet Srila Prabhupada replied seriously, When you are with ordinary people, he said, then you should not cry, because they will not understand. But when you are with devotees, you can cry, because the devotees will know that you are crying for Krishna. And Prabhupada also demonstrated this crying. Once during the Sunday feast program, the devotees enacted the drama of Narada Muni's rescuing the hunter Mrigari. Vishnujana Das played Narada, and when he recited verses from the prayers to the spiritual master, everyone could notice something shining in the corner of Prabhupada's eye. He had a tear in his eye, but it was particularly shiny, like a diamond. After Prabhupada left the temple, many devotees were commenting, "Did you see the diamond in Prabhupada's eye?" Number 3. Srila Prabhupada's servant, was having difficulty controlling his senses, and he asked Prabhupada to give him a special diet. When the word got around that Prabhupada had recommended a special diet, another devotee approached Prabhupada for similar treatment. "Prabhupada, is there anything I could get that would help me control my tongue more? Are there certain things to avoid, like sugar?" Prabhupada said, "The method to control the tongue is to chant and to pray." "Well," the devotees say, "I am chanting and praying, but still I have difficulty. I'm having difficulty." Prabhupada sat back in his seat and laughed. "Yes," he said, "I know. I have a tongue too." It may be difficult, but as much as you can, try to eat simply. Prabhupada went on to describe how during World War II there was bombing in Calcutta, during a time when Prabhupada was just about to honor prasadam. Friends had come running to the house, giving warning. Abhay Charan, come quickly. The air raid siren is going off. The bombs are coming. Prabhupada had responded by saying that he could not go because his wife had just prepared some kachoris. He told his friends, "You go to the shelter. I will stay here." And so he offered the kachoris, ate them, and so he offered the kachoris, ate them, and chanted Hare Krishna. So even when bombs were falling, Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Number 4. One evening in Bhaktivedanta Manor in London, Srila Prabhupada was sitting in his room with his disciples and a few guests, including a woman reporter who had come to interview Srila Prabhupada. Despite the chilly English summer weather, the reporter was dressed in a scanty miniskirt. Her first few questions revealed her skeptical and almost cynical attitude toward the Hare Krishna movement. As usual, Srila Prabhupada coolly and expertly answered her questions. Somewhat exasperated and in a challenging mood, she brought up the old question, "Why do you people have bald heads?" Srila Prabhupada immediately retorted, "Why do you have bare legs?" She was speechless. Srila Prabhupada then offered, "Better to have warm legs and a cool head." Srila Prabhupada was always expert. Everyone, including the reporter, laughed with delight. Prabhupada added, "You must have a cool head to understand this Krishna conscious philosophy." Number 5. During an early morning walk in Vrindavan, devotees were asking Srila Prabhupada about the moon. A pale reminder of the moon could still be seen in the sky, and various birds were cooing and calling from the trees. Prabhupada said the moon is shining and therefore has heat, and yet its effect on the earth is cooling. Vishakha Dasi was one of the few women who regularly accompanied Srila Prabhupada on his walks because of her assignment as photographer. On this occasion, she stopped taking pictures and walked closer to ask Prabhupada a question about the moon. "Prabhupada, it is stated in your Bhagavad Gita purport that because of the moonlight, vegetables have taste. So why is it that the moon makes the vegetables have flavor?" Prabhupada stopped walking to consider her question. His demeanor was mellow and soft, but his look penetrated into her eyes. "Why don't you ask him?" was his only reply, and then he walked on. Ask who? Maybe ask the moon. It doesn't say. Number 6, Prabhupada said, on prasadam, regarding prasadam, leftovers should always be taken if they have not spoiled or if they have not been touched by a diseased person. We should never waste Krishna prasadam. Best thing is to cook only what is required and then give each person what he wants. That is Vedic system. That is that the people sit in rows behind their plates and servers pass down the rows and put a very small portion of each foodstuff on the plate. Unless there is some objection by a person, then nothing is given. Then, if someone wants more, the servers pass up and down the rows continuously and give more if anyone requests. In this way, nothing is wasted and everyone is satisfied. In India, Prabhupada instructed the devotees how a gentleman would eat and how to feed guests who come to the temple. During the meal, the host should be very attentive to his guests' needs, supplying them servings of hot puris, fresh water, and more of everything. He should also engage his guest in light, relaxing conversation and not heavy, anxiety-producing topics. Prabhupada said rice was useless unless served hot. He also said reheating rice must never be done since it causes a poisonous effect. Quote, so far as offering Krishna apple cider, this can be done only if it is prepared by the devotees. These food manufacturers do not take proper precautions in cleanliness, nor do they have devotion for Krishna in their labors. So it is not a very acceptable offering. If you can make this preparation yourself, then it would be all right. That was in a letter dated December 19th, 1968. Srila Prabhupada also was asked about can we eat ice cream. He says, yes, but you have to make it yourself on offer to Krishna. He didn't like, we go to the store and buy these kind of things. Number 7, Prabhupada tells a story. During Srila Prabhupada's last days in Vrindavan, he used to be carried up and down the stairs in a palanquin, or a palanquin chair. His habit was to take rest during the day in his bed on the roof. One day, going up the narrow staircase from the first floor to the roof, Shattadanya Maharaj carried the rear portion of Prabhupada's palanquin by its two handles, and another man carried the front. Tamal Krishna Goswami led the group, and Upendra Das followed, carrying Prabhupada's drinking lota and quilt. Suddenly, Srila Prabhupada began to laugh uncontrollably. The devotees were amazed because Srila Prabhupada was very ill and had been silent and grave. Do you want to hear a funny story? He asked. They all answered, yes, Prabhupada. Let us go upstairs. There I can say. While Upendra rushed to get his tape recorder, the others brought Srila Prabhupada to the roof, placing him on his bed and sat at his feet. Srila Prabhupada's body was very gaunt from the months of fasting, and he lay back but continued laughing. There is a Bengali proverb, he said, Garib Manush Cha Chinga Kai Hakta Gelo Goda Jaya. Just to say it made Prabhupada laugh more. The devotees remained mystified and expectant. Now I'll explain, said Srila Prabhupada. Garib Manush. Garib means poor, and Manush means man. Again, Srila Prabhupada broke into laughter, his thin body shaking and his whole face smiling. Cha Chinga Kai, he continued. Cha Chinga means grasshopper, Kai means eats. So this poor man has nothing to eat except he is finding some grasshoppers and eating them. Garib Manush Cha Chinga Kai Haka Gela. But when he goes to Pastul, Goda Jaya, he rides on a big white horse. End quote. Prabhupada laughed loudly, and all the devotees sat by in amazement. Then Prabhupada turned to Upendra and said, "You understood?" Upendra's face became red in not understanding. Shattadanya Maharaj was thinking, I hope Prabhupada doesn't ask me. Shattadanya turned to Tamal Krishna Maharaj and whispered, Tamal, do you understand? Tamal Krishna Maharaj gave an unsure nod and said, yes, but he remained silent. Prabhupada said, just see, Garib Manush, He is a poor man, eating only grasshoppers, but when he goes to Pastul, he rides a big white horse. When Prabhupada saw that they could not understand, he explained further. Similarly, I am a sannyasi. So a sannyasi is a beggar, a poor man. I am a poor man, and yet when I have to go to sleep, then 4 men must carry me on a palanquin. In this way they all laughed and enjoyed Prabhupada's story, but not quite as much as not quite as much as did Prabhupada himself. So, you'll probably find that very amusing. He's a sannyasi, he's a poor, he's a sannyasi, sannyasis usually don't have anything, but he needed so much assistance just to go to sleep. He carried to his bed.
The ironies of life.
Yeah. Ironies of life. And Srila found that very amusing. So number 8, personal. His height. In height, he was referring to Srila Prabhupada, was maybe 5 feet 5 inches. A non-devotee would say a small man. Most of his disciples stood taller than he. But we didn't think like that he was a little man. If we saw reporters describe him as a little man, it didn't make sense. That was obviously the defective vision of the non-devotee. His servants once said, for someone who is supposed to be small, it takes all your energy to cover his back to massage it. I can't understand it. His shoe size was 8, his sweater size was 36 inches. The palms of his hand were soft and boldly lined with long, firm lifelines. There was something protective that came out. There was something protective that came out of his disciples in the fact that Prabhupada's height was shorter. He wanted to be sure to protect. They wanted to be sure to protect him because he was so great, so valuable, our spiritual master. In the company of karmis, or in the company of devotees, he was regal as he walked with his cane, not at all like a small or old man. Any person, regardless of his physical stature, would approach Prabhupada respectfully, deferring to him. Prabhupada was elderly and a gentleman, and was almost always treated in that way, very respectfully. Because when he spoke, he was very refined and proper. He himself proclaimed his spiritual mission by his every action, and people could see that for themselves. Usually accompanying him were his Western disciples who were very worshipful of Prabhupada. That was also impressive. He was not alone, but with his servants. If he looked small, still he controlled others who were tall. Therefore, he was small, still he could control others who were tall. Therefore, he was taller than they. He had strength. He would say his mind was strong. His face was not small, but was his aristocratic nose with full mouth. His eyes were large. Again, these contradicted the small man idea. He was saint, sadhu, not small. He didn't sit small. His voice was deep. It could be gruff, loud, commanding, not small. His control of big men like Brahmananda, Jayapataka, Bhavananda were complete. His words, Shashi Gordatai, Shashi Radha, Brajabihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Vedashigade, Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. His words, the raising of his eyebrows, or the turn of his mouth could humiliate them utterly or drive them running into action. And he wrote so many books. He was not small, but if he chose, he could be like a child, and you had to care for him completely. That was his love. Number 9. In India, Srila Prabhupada was often invited to attend programs in people's homes. Sometimes these people were very pious and became devotees by such contact with Srila Prabhupada. In some cases, they mainly wanted material blessings, health, and prosperity in return for hosting a sadhu and his followers. On one occasion, Srila Prabhupada, along with 20 of his devotees, was sitting in a man's living room while the man introduced each member of his family. "This is my wife," said the man, and the wife came forward, bowing slightly and folding her palms. "And this is my older son, and this is my daughter, and this is my younger son." Each came forward and said his name while Prabhupada nodded genially. "This is the husband of my daughter," the man continued, "and these are their children. Each both quickly appeared and excited. Finally, all the members had been introduced and had departed, momentarily leaving Srila Prabhupada alone in the room with his devotees. In a confidential aside, Prabhupada spoke quietly to his disciples. "This is my sex life." That's actually what he's presenting all his family members, but that's really the essence of it. Srila Prabhupada was saying. 10. Srila Prabhupada once said that whenever a manuscript of his was printed and published as a book, he felt as if he had just conquered an empire. So for his disciples, it was also an opportunity for intimate association to be able to prepare his books for printing and to bring him an advanced copy fresh from the printer. When Canto 7, Part 2 of the Srimad Bhagavatam was printed, Srila Prabhupada was staying at the New York City ISKCON Center. Rameshwar Swami and Radha Vallabha had gone to the airport and received the first 2 copies by special freight. It was about 2 a.m. when they returned to the temple. Eager to present the book to Srila Prabhupada, they took the elevator up to his rooms on the 11th floor. The light was on in his sitting room. Quietly opening the door, they found that he was not there. They went again into the hall and saw the light on in the bathroom. With childlike glee, barely controlling their laughter, they each hid a book behind their backs and waited, smiling to present it to Prabhupada. When Prabhupada came out, he saw them and said, "Oh, you are here?" He noticed that they were holding something behind their backs and tried to control their smiling. "You have something for me?" he said, perfectly reciprocating their mood. He then walked ahead into the sitting room, looked playfully over his shoulder, and invited them, "Come in, come on." When they handed Srila Prabhupada the books, he exclaimed, "Ah!" and immediately took one and touched it to his head. He looked at the cover and then looked at the cover and turned the book and looked at the back cover. He opened up the first page and read aloud the selected epitaph verse. He went through the front matter page by page and then looked carefully at all the pictures. Then Srila Prabhupada started reading the book aloud from Prahlad Pacifies the Lord with Prayers. The joyful presentation party merged into the ecstasy of Bhagavatam reading by Srila Prabhupada. He read on for about 40 minutes, seemingly oblivious to everything else. Yeah, that was a very big thing when new books were published for Srila Prabhupada, his books. Number 11. There were many inconveniences Prabhupada had to face due to old age and disease, but he was never affected in his pure Krishna consciousness. Even externally, he often refused to bow to the dictates of his maladies, variously diagnosed as diabetes, poor digestion, and many others. He or his followers would call for doctors periodically, but Srila Prabhupada rarely took their prescriptions or followed their diet regimens. He was not what you call a good patient. When in New York, an Indian allopathic doctor visited and gave Prabhupada medicine and antibiotics, Prabhupada was polite and agreeable. But his servant, Harisari, was doubtful. "Will you take your medicine?" he said. Prabhupada patted the little pills on his desk and said non-committedly, "We shall see." He never took them. Some of the devotees thought that Srila Prabhupada was seeing doctors just to engage them in devotional service. He rebelled against strictures on his diet even when he was quite ill. A Kaviraj in India, Kaviraj means a doctor, a Kaviraj in India ordered that Prabhupada couldn't eat rice, potatoes, sugar, and certain fruits. When he called his cook, Devi Shakti, in Vrindavan and asked her to make Punjab Boli, a hot potato sabji, she dutifully reminded him, "But Prabhupada, you can't eat potatoes." He endured it for a few days and then overthrew the order. He called for his old lunch of rice, dal, chapatis, and sabji. At that time, another of his well-meaning servants, Upendra, intervened and tried to restrain him. But Prabhupada, the doctor, told you that not to take all those things. You're going to get sick. Prabhupada said, we are not Dr. Das. We are Krishna Das. From then on, he resumed his normal diet. In Mayapur, his cook, Palika Dasi, attempted an even stricter discipline based on the instructions of a famous Kaviraj from Calcutta. In this case, Prabhupada was to follow an intricate schedule by which he would take pills and eat and drink only at certain hours. This was in 1977 when Prabhupada was so sick that he was rarely coming down to the temple to give classes or to go on morning walks. One afternoon, a devotee named Anakadunduvi, unaware of the tight schedule of Prabhupada's drinking and eating, brought Prabhupada a fresh coconut dab to drink as usual. Although Prabhupada knew very well that he was not supposed to take anything at this time, he quietly accepted the dab and poured it into his cup. Just as he started to drink it, Palika came by and admonished him. "Srila Prabhupada, you're not supposed to take anything." Prabhupada became defiant. Who said? "Who said?" he challenged, and immediately drank the whole cup of juice, although it was usually his custom to sip it slowly. "All my life," he said, "I have done whatever I wanted." Yeah.
He said that when he was a child, whenever
So maybe we got a couple minutes left. Any questions, comments? We got only about 3 or 4 minutes. No? Let's see if anyone. Nothing there. Okay, so I guess we'll end here. And tomorrow Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sunday Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada ki